Multicoin Capital transferred 400,000 Hype tokens, and this is the result. The price of the Hyperliquid token has crashed. It went down by 24% from the all-time high. More capital movements followed. Now we are at 120 million worth of Hype that got moved to Coinbase Pro. And so the price decline of Hype cannot just be explained by the general market going down. The early investors are cashing out. But is this potentially an opportunity? Because the team is still actively working to grow the platform. For example, it's in direct talks with the Securities and Exchange Commission in the US. Hi, my name is Gerhard. I've been in the crypto space for the last 8 years. I hit my first million 3 years ago, and it is mainly through active trading of altcoins. My track record is on the website down below. Over the last 2 years, I started to publish my trades in real time. We made 47% annualized. We are currently, with the open positions, at an all-time high. And all of the positions that are closed can directly be seen over here. So this is 100% transparent. Now the current positions are of course available to the premium members. More on this at the end of the video. Now I use the Hyperliquid platform every single day. And it doesn't just offer investing in cryptocurrencies. We can now bet on various stocks as well. For example, here a short on SK Hynix or on Samsung. People on X are wondering what's going on with Hype. Why is the price declining? Some people are even losing conviction in the token. But is that justified? Because over the long term, the capital that's on the platform continues to grow. We are now at an all-time high, close to $6 billion. Now what happened over here in October of last year? Why did the growth not continue, but why did we had this dip to 4 billion? The reason is this over here, and actually it has nothing to do with Hyperliquid. What happened on the 10th of October is that Binance's pricing mechanism got exploited. So it reduced the number of oracles, the number of data feeds it used to price altcoins, and that caused a cascaded liquidation. A liquidation event that moved across all of crypto, including Hyperliquid. And so the average altcoin, this is now the others market cap, it crashed by more than 50% in the span of a few hours and then subsequently recovered. Now, why is this a problem? It's a problem because perpetual futures exchanges like Hyperliquid use leverage. People that use the platform bet on rising prices or on falling prices, and they don't just do this with 1x, they do this with 2x, 3x, 4x. And so if there's a liquidation event like this, right, a 50% drop, and then subsequently a recovery, then people that were betting on rising prices got completely wiped out, just to see that if there wasn't that kind of mispricing event, they still had all the money. That's why movements like this are also called scam wicks, because they scam the people that are on the unfavorable side of the trade. In this case, it was going long, so betting on rising prices. That shattered the confidence in the perpetual futures market. Thus, we also saw outflows from Hyperliquid. But now things are turning around again. It looks like Hyperliquid is preparing to launch an offer in the US as well. Right now, officially at least, it's not possible to trade with Hyperliquid in the US. Many people do it anyways because there is no KYC. You can simply just use Hyperliquid using a VPN. It's a decentralized exchange, but maybe this will change to a degree. At least when you're from the US, you're expected to do KYC. That is going forward. By the way, if you use x.com, formerly known as Twitter, then feel free to also follow the account of this channel over here. I publish data regularly over here. Make sure though that you follow the right account. So the right account is @BitcoinStrat. Make sure that you don't follow any fake accounts. And so this is the Hyperliquid price long-term measured in US dollars. We do have our higher highs. We also have higher lows. Unfortunately, we are not yet at the lower end of the trading range. Thus, if the momentum prevails, we could fall by another 35%. The problem with charts like this is that there's a lot of correlation in crypto. In other words, if a US dollar price goes up or down, it very much depends also where the general market is going. If Bitcoin is going up, then many altcoins go up. When Bitcoin crashes, the altcoins follow as well. Thus, instead of following US dollar charts like this, which is mainly just a view on the macro, it's better to look at relative valuations. So this is Hyperliquid in relation to the altcoin market cap. When does Hyperliquid outperform and when does it underperform? Unfortunately, here we are even higher on the trading range, and this would imply a potential risk of losing 52% from here. Why would a platform that continues to grow crash by 52%? The potential answer is tokenomics. There are token unlocks, even though in the past the team tended to not take full advantage of all of those unlocks. But there is still quite a bit of vesting going forward. Over the next 12 months, we expect 58% supply expansion. Now, usually for an altcoin, 58% is massive. However, if we just look at this growth, 1 year ago, even with this Black Swan event, we were roughly a third below the current total value locked. In other words, we did grow by 50%. If we do not expect another Black Swan event over the next 12 months, we could easily outgrow that supply expansion. Hyperliquid is not just the perpetual futures exchange. There's also something called the Hyper EVM, so the Ethereum Virtual Machine blockchain. We can build smart contracts on top of Hyperliquid and let those interact with the Hyperliquid exchange. I'm currently building Bitcoin strategy autopilot, so we're using Hyperliquid's blockchain in order to automatically copy trade the strategies here. The usage of the Hyperliquid ecosystem very much correlates with the price development. It very much correlates with the demand, because trading fees are used to automatically buy back hype tokens. And everybody that's actively trading has an incentive to stake hype tokens because it reduces trading fees. The question is just, how will trading develop going forward? This here is the total trading volume, and that peaked in August of last year. Here is the open interest over time, so the amount of bets that are being placed on Hyperliquid. Again, it crashed in October, but now starts to recover again. People are starting to withdraw from the market maker that's run by Hyperliquid. The hyperliquidity provider, the HLP, peaked at 600 million. Now it's only at 200 million because the returns aren't that high anymore. That's maybe because of competition. We had this massive surge again on the 10th of October, but now over the last 30 days, we're just going sideways. There are other market makers on Hyperliquid that are now taking away the alpha that the HLP used to produce. Fundamentally, the question is the risk worth it? We do have a growing platform, but we also have growing supply. How much more upside is there really? Hyperliquid is already among the top 10 cryptocurrencies. It's got a market cap of 14 billion. Within the decentralized finance space, it's already the largest token. It's 2 times larger than Chainlink, and it's more than 5 times larger than Uniswap, which is the largest spot exchange in decentralized finance. Perpetual futures, so levered bets on prices, continue to grow faster than the crypto ecosystem as a whole. This is a sector that grows quicker. We can see this, for example, over here, right? We've got the Ethereum price that's in yellow, and that tended to peak out at a very similar level last year to the top of DeFi summer in 2021. But have a look at the open interest, so the amount of bets that are placed on Ethereum. That grew much more, right? It grew from 12 billion all the way up to 70 billion. So we had a 5x in the perpetual futures open interest through those years, while the spot price did not go up during that time. Perpetual futures are a growth market, and the fundamental reason for that growth is that it's much more efficient to trade levered bets than to trade on the spot market. The transaction fees are much lower, especially for active traders. Now, of course, the hype token itself also has a perpetual futures contract. Most people are bullish on hype. In other words, the funding rate on the hype token tends to be positive most of the time. The token clearly is not driven by leverage, which is almost a surprise, right? People that like the hype token, they're not necessarily pushing up the price through leverage. Instead, they tend to buy on the spot market and hold it long term. Maybe so that they don't have to pay all of those funding fees. And so it is mainly perpetual futures trading that created that performance over the last 2 years. We tend to do relative valuation trades, so we go long one asset, short the other asset. And again, all of those trades are completely visible on the public website as well. Now, of course, the current open trades, I can't share them over here in YouTube, but there is this website in the linked comments down below. One of the positions that I currently hold, that many other premium members hold as well, is now available for free. You can either click on this button and get this trade via Telegram. You can also scan this QR. Alternatively, you can plug in your email and then you get that position emailed to you. You don't just get the position, you also get a tutorial video that explains everything, how to actually set up the position. So 100% free, you don't need to pay anything, you don't need to leave a credit card. It's for you to generate first profit and understand the strategy. And then later on, if you want to reinvest those gains, you can join premium as well. But right now, it's probably best to just start with the premium trade first. If it's your first time here, feel free to subscribe. I publish here regularly. A like would be very much appreciated as well. It helps the channel grow. See you next time. Cheers.